It's now time for the best of Beaver County. For the next 30 minutes, you're going to learn about unique and interesting people in Beaver County. You can also watch live on Facebook at WBVP-WMBA. The best of Beaver County is brought to you by St. Barnabas. Here is your host, Frank Sparks.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Best of Beaver County. This week, the Best of Beaver County is Lori L. Trudeau, and she is from Victorian Finance. And we're going to talk about many different things this morning, whether you're into, you need, a USDA loan, a VA loan, whatever you need. She's got it, and she's able to do that for you. So we'll talk with her this morning about all of that as well. But first off, let's say good morning to Lori. Good morning.
Freedom in your future. Freedom.
So tell us a little bit, Lori. From what I understand, you're a local gal here to Beaver County. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up at, and where you're at now.
So I grew up in Ambridge. My father was a welder for American Bridge.
Okay. And
I lived really close to the Laughlin Library. And I lived in that house for, a long time. Ambridge is absolutely beautiful. Now I live in Franklin Park, and I have been married to my husband for 43 years. And I have two children. I have Jennifer, who is 40, and I have Bob Jr. Today is his birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, and he is 36 today.
Wow, I have a daughter who is 34 today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So once you graduated high school, did you get into the finance world right then and the financing right then, or where'd you go?
So once I graduated high school, I had gone to class and I got my license as a court reporter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so once I got my license as a court reporter, they had asked me to move to Washington, D.C. And at that point, that's when I had met my husband. And I said, I don't know if I want to move to Washington, D.C. And so they said, okay, then what other, look and see if there are any other jobs out there that you want to take. And so I had taken a job with a title company in downtown Pittsburgh. And I worked there for probably 3 years. We got married. And again, we got married in Ambridge at St. Stanislaus Church.
Okay.
Which is now New Hope.
Is your husband a local guy too?
My husband, he grew up over in East Liberty back in the day. Yeah, and he's all Italian. So I am half Italian, half Polish. But we got married at St. Stanislaus Church.
Okay. How'd you guys meet?
I met him at this company called Draveau.
Yeah, I remember Draveau. Yeah.
Yep, and that was in town. And at that time, I was the mail woman, and I would deliver mail. And, I would take the mail into his office, and he's like, hello, what's your name? I said, I'm Lori. And he said, oh, my name's Bob. And so he asked me to go to lunch, and we went to Froggy's, if anybody remembers.
I remember Froggy's, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went to
way back.
Froggy's for lunch. And that's when at that point, we started dating. Okay. And then he had asked me to marry him.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So how long did you guys date before you?
We dated for, I'd say, about a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But when I got married, I was 19. Yep.
That's awesome. How many years?
Let me think, 43 years.
Putting her to the test.
Yes.
43. That's awesome, though. I love it. You don't see that too often. So,
yeah.
All right. So what led you to the world of basically Victorian finance and doing financial for people, doing loans and things like that?
Yeah. So, again, I worked for the title company, and then I had met a friend of mine, and I knew him for a while. And he said, Laura, would you consider doing mortgages? And he said, I'm happy to teach you how to do them. And I said, sure, I'll do it. So at that point, I started working for a company called Patriot Lending. And I worked at that company for 30 years. And then Patriot Lending merged with Victorian Finance.
Okay.
So I've been with Victorian now 2 years.
Okay. Now, do you own the agency that you run now, or?
No.
Okay.
No. So, but yeah, so I've been doing, mortgages 32 years.
Okay. So what we talk about all these mortgages. What different types of mortgages are there? There's so many out there nowadays. It's kind of confusing.
Many. Yes. Of course, you have the conventional mortgage, the FHA, VA, USDA, but we have a bond program and a down payment assistance program. Now, right now, we lend in the 31 states, and come the end of June, we'll be lending in all 100 states.
Wow.
Which is really good because my sister who lives in Phoenix, which right now I can do Arizona, but she's thinking of moving back home, possibly to Ohio. She's even thinking about Florida or Tennessee. And so she said, can you do those states? I said, I can, We also do the new construction renovation loans. We do what they call the bank statement programs. We do doctor loans, non-warrantable condos. We can do vacant land loans and condotels. We also do the reverse mortgages, which I have been getting a boatload of calls for those.
I wanted to ask you about that because that was one of the things that a lot of people are confused about. What exactly is a reverse mortgage?
So it's a mortgage. So let's say, and we can do them for people who are either living in their home, and now we can do them for people who want to buy a new home with the reverse mortgage.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let's say they're living in their home and they want to do it as a refinance. Depending on their age, and they have to be at least 62 years and older, they can do the reverse mortgage, and it all depends on how much equity they would get. So, for instance, I'm 62, I could do the reverse,
Okay.
I could get so much equity, but if my husband, and my husband's 76, let's say, it was just him for right now, and he wanted to do the reverse, he could get much more equity than what I could get given his age. Now, you have to have at least 40% equity in the home to do the reverse.
So why would he get more equity than what you would?
Because he's older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
So that's all. It's kind of like, I'm like, so how they determine the value so that you get appraisal done, they determine the value of your house and
correct.
And go from there.
Get an appraisal. They have to turn, you'd have to turn in, of course, driver's license, if your social security card. If you get social security, you have to put down how much you get every month for social security. And if you have an IRA, let's say, like for instance, my husband, he has an IRA, and he had to take what they call required minimum distribution when he was 72. So that amount at that point was like $2,300 a month that he had to take. He also gets a pension because he worked for a company called Bayer, if anybody's familiar with that company. Yep. He worked there, so he gets a pension.
Okay.
So, again, it just depends on the age. And like I said, if it were just him doing it, he would get more equity than what I would get because of our age differences.
I got you.
Yeah.
So how's the reverse mortgage work itself? So, are you making payments? Are they making payments? How's that work?
Yeah, so there would be no principal and interest payment on the reverse. The only thing that they would have to pay are their taxes, the homeowner's insurance, and if they have an HOA. And basically then, year after year, that amount just goes towards the equity in the home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've gotten 6 calls for the reverse mortgage in the last 3 weeks. And I just closed on one last week. They're out in Westmoreland County.
Okay.
And I went to the closing, and they were so happy. They said this was the best thing we could have ever done.
So how's it work when you get is there a certain period of time the reverse mortgage is? Is it until you pass? How's that work?
Yeah. And then, if you were to pass, the house would go to whoever they would leave it to.
Okay.
So like if they left it to their children, but you don't have to pay, you don't pay it off. There's nothing that you have to pay off.
Right. Okay. I understand. All right. So one of the other big ones that I kind of I never heard of this, so it kind of piqued me a little bit. It's a USDA loan. What's that?
So that is 100% financing,
Okay.
USDA. Now, if you were looking to buy and because a lot of times I get calls for those and they're saying, I want a USDA loan, but it is within the city of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unfortunately, that's not going to work because it has to be rural. So, I had one the other day. It was up in Darlington.
Okay.
And I said, give me the address. They gave me the address. I said, yep, you'd qualify because that would be considered a rural property.
Okay.
But yeah, 100% financing. And then a seller assist back in the day used to be 3%. Now it's 6%. So I've been getting a lot of calls for those as well because it seems like housing prices are going up, but people's income hasn't really
Right.
gone up. So they're really looking for loans that they don't have to put a whole lot of down payment money on if they don't have it. Because, they got to pay their credit card bills or they got to pay, of course, they got to pay if they're renting, or if they have a current mortgage, they got to pay that. But yeah, I've been getting a boatload of calls for the USDA loan.
So what is a non-QM loan?
So those are for people who wouldn't qualify for, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac product.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the interest rate on those are higher, and, like the bank statements, they would have to come up with a certain amount down. Typically, it's like 20% down. But a lot of times, people who are self-employed, when I run the income, I'm like, ugh, it's not going to work. The DTI, I ran one and the DTI was a 73%. Like, well, that's not going to work. I said, but we can do the bank statement with that. And they were thrilled. Now, today's interest rates, they're hovering around 6% with no points. But on the bank statement program, that might be in the high to low sevens. And they're fine with that because they said, well, at least it's not in the double digits. Because when I bought my first home in 1985, my interest rate was 12%, and that was for an ARM. Yeah. So,
are there a lot of people looking to refinance and do, and even buy new homes at this point?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that because of the way the economy is, or?
Right, because the interest rates are coming down. So, like I know my son and daughter-in-law, they have a townhouse over in North Fayette, and they're looking to sell that and buy up in the North Hills where I live. They'd like to be closer to us. But I know a lot of times people say they don't want to give up their home because back during COVID, they got interest rates of like on a 30-year at 3%.
Right.
But now they're like, we're thinking of buying a new house because, a lot of people just want something bigger or they want to move out of the area. But they're really glad that the interest rates aren't in the 2 digits or they're not 8 or 9%.
So where it's at now, does that help the market more? That we're like at
Yes.
6% right now?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I have been getting a lot of calls for cash out refinances because like people need to put on a new roof
Right.
or they might need a new furnace or they just want to remodel altogether. So I've been getting a lot of calls for those as well. Now, on a cash out, the rates are maybe around like mid 6s, but that's still not bad.
No, that's not a bad rate at all.
No.
So, wow. Do you see the rates coming down even more as we go along here with the way things are working today?
Well, they have come down in the last month. Right now, they're kind of, where they are. They haven't come down.
Right.
But they're hoping that they do come down. And they're saying that they could come down in the next few months.
I think the Fed said, like maybe another half point?
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. So how will that affect the more it comes down? Will more people want to refinance or more people want to buy at that
Both.
point? Okay.
Both. Yep. I know because my daughter she has a house in Cranberry.
Okay.
And she's moving back to Maryland with her husband. He owns an Arthur Murray studio down there. So they put the house up for sale, and within 3 days, they got 4 offers. And so now that's closing March 12th.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're visiting this morning with Lori Altrudo. She is from Victorian Finance, and she is the best of Beaver County this week. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back with more right after this here on the Best of Beaver County.
Have you ever wanted to work in radio? Well, now is your chance. St. Barnabas Broadcasting is a network of 11 radio stations, and we are looking for account executives to introduce St. Barnabas Broadcasting and digital media to new prospective clients and grow existing ones. Experience in sales is preferred. Interested prospective candidates can apply by sending their resume to fsparks@beavercountyradio.com or by calling 724-444-JOBS.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Put freedom in your future. Freedom United Federal Credit Union in Rochester.
We're back here on the Best of Beaver County. Frank Sparks. And this morning, the Best of Beaver County is Lori Altrudo from Victorian Finance. And we've been talking a little bit about the different types of mortgages and refis that are out there. And moving along, I see a lot of people getting a VA loan. What is a VA loan, Lori?
A VA loan is a veteran's loan.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be for, of course, anyone serving or who has served. So my father served in the Army in the Korean War. And I know my sister who lives in Phoenix, her husband, he served in the Army. Now, sadly enough, he had passed 2 years ago, but she had called me, my sister had called me and said, Laura, could I still do the VA loan? I said, you can, because she was married to a veteran.
Okay. What about if you have a kid that's in the service?
Yes.
Okay.
Still do it. And with the VA loan, that's 100% financing.
Okay.
The seller assist on that is 4%. And again, we can do those right now in the 31 states, and come the end of June, we'll be able to do 100. But I have been getting a boatload of calls for the VA loan. And I want to help. That's the other thing. Anything I could do to help veterans, I'll do it. I want to do it.
Okay. So somebody because it's all confusing. There's just so many different things. So somebody, say I come to you and I say, Lori, I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to buy it, and I need some financing. Take me through the steps of what we would do and how we would explore different things.
Yeah. So the first thing I would do is I would send you my website information. And then you would just go online, because I can either email it or text it. And then you go online and you complete your information, name, social security number, address, who you work for. If you have, if you're renting, we need to know what your rent amount is. If you have a mortgage, we need to know what that is, along with taxes and insurance. Mm-hmm. We need your bank statements for checking, savings, and we need at least 2 months of the bank statements with all pages. If you have any money in a 401k, you need to know about that. And then if you have any other properties, if you have a property that you're renting. So like, for instance, I have a property right now in Vero Beach, Florida, a condo. And so if I did a mortgage, I'd have to show that on my application. But then we run your credit and see how everything looks. We calculate the income, and then we run what they call the debt-to-income ratio to see what it is, which it could not exceed a 48% on debt-to-income. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how does it work if, for instance, like you were talking about I think it was your daughter, or was it your daughter?
Yes,
your
my
son's
daughter.
going to move. Okay, she's going to move back towards you. So she has a condo that's for sale, but yet she's going to try and buy another one. How's that work? Is there like a bridge loan between that you can get, or how's that work?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my son. Yes.
Okay, that's your son. Okay.
Yes, so
all right.
we can do bridge loans.
Okay.
I know he wants to get everything kind of updated, because he bought that in 2020. And I think his interest rate on that right now is 2.75.
Oh, that's good.
It's really good. Yeah. And that's what he said. I really hate to give up that rate, but I want to move up in the North Hills. So he could do the bridge loan if he needed to.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, I've been getting a lot of calls for those as well.
All right. Explain a little bit what a bridge loan is so people understand.
So basically, it's when you haven't sold the house, but you need some money to put down for the new house. That's basically it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay that money back once your house sells.
Correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. What are some of the other different services that you offer? I see if somebody wants to buy vacant land, you can help them with that. If somebody wants to buy a condo, you can help them with all that.
Yeah. Now, also what they call non-warrantable condos, if you've ever heard of those.
No, what is that?
Yeah. So basically, we get the condo information, and then we have to submit it to the condo folks themselves. And then they come back and tell us it's warrantable or it's not warrantable, meaning like it's approved, it's not approved. So if it's a non-warrantable condo, it's not approved, and you got to come up with 20% down on non-warrantable. If it's warrantable, you can come up with your 5, your 10% down. But non-warrantable, the least amount is 20%.
Okay.
Okay.
I got to ask you. So we got. I'm doing this from Lenny. So I'm going to show everybody on the camera. She's got the Wonder Woman on, matching Wonder Woman cookies. Are you the Wonder Woman of
I am.
mortgages?
Yes,
okay.
I am.
That'd be a good commercial for her. Boom, pull her out with the Wonder Woman.
Well, I've done a lot of closings, in the last
Right.
few months.
Okay.
And this one couple, after the closing, they said, "You are so good at what you do. And Lori, we appreciate so much all your help, all your guidance." They said, "You are incredible." I said, "Well, thank you very much." And I go to everybody's closing. I always bring someone a closing gift. So after I left, it was like 2 days later, the woman, she calls me and she said, "I want to thank you again, Lori, for all your help." I said, "Sure." And she said, "Check your mail. You have something coming in the next 24 hours. Okay. So I went outside, front door, opened it up, and there it was, my Wonder Woman sweater. She
That's
said,
awesome.
"You are Wonder Woman. You're so good at what you do." I said, "Thank you." And then we even had our Wonder Woman cookies made.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
So tell our listeners what sets you apart and what you do sets it apart from maybe other agencies.
Well, again, I've been getting so many calls for the reverse mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask, I'll see other loan officers at other companies. And, I said, and they said, "Lord, we heard that you do reverse mortgages." I said, "I do." And they said, "That's really good to know because they don't do them."
Oh, okay.
There's like really no other lenders that do them. And last week I went with the reverse mortgage team to these financial planners building. And so we did the presentation on the reverse mortgage. Before I left, though, I had said to Mike Stanley, who's head of the reverse mortgage team, I said, "Mike, how many business cards and how many bifold folders do you think I should take?" And he said, "You know what, Lord, take 20 of each." I said, "Okay." So I did. We did the presentation. And at the end of the presentation, the financial planner, he comes over to me. He said, "I want to thank you all. This is so good to know about the reverse mortgage." And he said to me, "Lori, do you have any business cards?" And I said, "Yes, I have these 20 business cards and I have 20 of my bifold folders." I said, "How many would you like?" He said, "I'll take all of them. I want all your business cards and I want all your bifold folders because this was so helpful. And when I talk to people, I want to give them your information so they know, again, if they're 62 years and older, if they need to do that reverse, that's who I'm referring it to."
Why are they so popular? I mean, they've become, like you said, they've become very popular. You see a lot of people advertising for them, but why have they become so popular?
Well, because a lot of times, either people need the money, if they need to pay off credit card debt, or if they need to help their children. That's the other thing. A lot of them want to help their children buy a house So they'll use that equity to help them,
Gotcha.
Or if one of, let's say, husband and wife, let's say the wife has to stay in a home, that helps. It helps pay that monthly fee of staying in a home.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, the amount of calls I've been getting for these is just unbelievable.
So what do you do if somebody wants to buy a house, they qualify, but they don't have the money for a down payment?
So then we could do what they call the down payment assistance program,
Okay.
which is very helpful. Again, if they need to do wherever they live, they could do the USDA loan.
Okay.
But we offer, I want to say, 4 down payment assistance programs. And a lot of times too, like we could do those with grants. They could get a grant for that,
Okay.
which is very helpful. I've been getting a lot of calls for those as well, because again, the housing prices are going up, but the people's income
It's
isn't
staying the
going.
same.
Yeah.
Staying, yeah.
So they need help with the down payment because they just don't have that money.
Now, what about somebody that maybe doesn't have the ideally perfect credit? How does that work? Is there
Yeah.
loans out there for somebody like that?
Yes. So, on an FHA loan, they could go down to about a 580 on credit.
Wow.
Now, if it's lower, I have gotten a few calls and I have pulled credit on some people. Unfortunately, some of the folks, their credit score was like a 490.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we have within the company a way that we can help them. Okay, let's look at your credit, and here's what you need to start paying off, so that maybe in 8 months or a year, the credit scores will go up. So we give them direction on what to pay off and when to pay it off, and how to pay it off, because they really need help. I had another gentleman. He called me 3 weeks ago, and he was looking to buy here in Beaver County. And when I pulled his credit, it was a 510. So that's what I said to him. Here's what you need to do. I went over the credit with him, and here's if you can pay these things off. It'll take about a year. And he said that was so helpful, because now he has the direction to go in to get those paid off, to get his credit scores up.
A lot of people don't do that, so that's a pretty cool service that you offer to people.
Yes.
In our last couple minutes, how can people get a hold of you if they want to utilize your services?
Yeah, so of course they could call me, 412-400-2365. They can email me, which is Altrudo, ALTRUDO, @victorianfinance.com. Or if they just even want to, Google me, I come up. Or if they want to look me up on Facebook, I'm on Facebook. They can do that as well.
Just look for the Wonder Woman sweater.
Yes.
I love it, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's kind of like your one-stop shop. You can take care of whatever somebody's needs are. Now, do they have to come into the office? Do you go remotely to people?
Yeah, I can go remotely. Again, if they say I want to apply for a loan, I can send them the email. I could text it to them, and they go on and they complete everything. And then I get a notification, okay, that borrower has completed all of their information. And once I know that's all completed, that's when I can start working on it. I can pull the credit, calculate the income, and see how, things work out with their debt to income ratio, things like that. But typically they complete it pretty quickly, which is nice.
Plus, they want that house.
Yes, yes.
Right. They want to get it before it's gone, because it seems like now a house goes on the market, boom, it's gone.
Well, exactly, like my daughter's. Yeah. I mean, she had that on for 3 or 4 days, and boom, she had 4 offers.
Wow.
And away it went.
I've seen a lot, too, recently where the offers are actually higher than what they're asking for it a lot of times.
Yes. There was one the other day, the offer on that was $375, or I'm sorry, the list price was $375. There were 6 offers, and one came in at $400. Of course, that's who they went with.
Somebody wanted that house pretty bad.
Yes.
All right, throw the phone number and the website out there one more time.
Okay, phone number 412-400-2365. And the website, you can just go on LLtrudo @gmail.com. Or just go look up Victorian Finance, look up Lori Altrudo, and you'll see me on there.
All right, Lori is the best of Beaver County this week. We appreciate you coming in, and I'm sure we could go on for a long time talking about this because there's so much to unwrap with it all, but we do appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next, stay tuned. We'll have more here on Beaver County Radio.